The new channel. The new channel. Hashtag TNC Now.
The views, opinions, and insights expressed in the following shows are those of the host, producers, guests, and viewers. They do not necessarily reflect the position of the channel. Viewer discretion is advised.
Mabuhay and welcome to the new channel. Our passion transforms a community that sees all things new. This is King Gonzalez and you guys are watching a special episode of Realty Realities. A good Saturday afternoon once again to everybody, and thanks for watching Realty Realities. And welcome to the Our Lady of the Abandoned here in Sta Ana, Manila. Well, you guys are probably wondering, how come we're inside the church, Sta Ana Church, and you guys are watching Realty Realities? It's because it's something related to what happened last week. Last week, we saw the Manila Central Post Office go into flames. At alam ko, maraming nag-post sa social media at sa kung saan man ng kanilang naramdaman nung nakita nila na nasusunog yung post office. It's because when we see a heritage site or something that is rich in culture, or something that we have been accustomed to, which is already a part of our history, masakit. We feel like we've lost a loved one. And that is what happens, my brothers and sisters, the televiewers, when we see something that is of importance, like a heritage site, burn into flames, or get destructed, or get demolished. And this is what we're going to talk to you about this afternoon. And who best to talk to us about heritage preservation and its importance in urban development than the consultant of heritage, tourism, culture, and the arts of Sta Ana, Manila. Tara, puntahan natin siya. Isn't it amazing that we're inside the Our Lady of the Abandoned here in the historic town of Sta Ana, Manila, right in front of the retablo? Man, this is one for the books here at Realty Realities. And like what I told you guys earlier, it's because we want to talk to you about heritage preservation in urban development and finding probably the balance to both of these topics. And today we're here with a consultant of heritage, tourism, culture, and the arts of Sta Ana, Manila, Ma'am Sylvia Lichauco. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
So we're so blessed because, it's been a while since we last spoke, ma'am. And because of the news of the Manila Central Post Office getting burned down, and one of the staff of TNC asking me about a special episode here at Realty Realities, I thought, ito yata yung apt time for us to take up Sta Ana, and it being one of the richest heritage sites in Manila.
I'm very happy for this opportunity to talk about my hometown, Santa Ana, Manila.
Yeah. So, I said about Manila Central Post Office, and during my intro, I also said that a lot of people reacted to it. What was your reaction when you heard about the news?
Oh, when I saw the pictures on TV and social media of that raging orange fire, it was devastating. I mean, something like this, how could it happen?
Yeah.
And I'm only heartened by the fact that I understand NCCA and City of Manila will work together to rehab it, put it back together again, and not destroy it.
Yeah. Because when you see sites like this, rich in history, and probably for some people, history because they technically go there or they've been there to do their postal duties, it's such a beauty. It's an architectural icon.
Absolutely.
Right? And I was surprised, ma'am, because I saw friends pulling pictures of different angles, and it was personal photos of the Manila Post Office.
I think all of us at one point or another in our youth have been to that post office.
Yeah.
And maybe we weren't old enough to appreciate the beautiful architecture, but that architecture was classic.
Yes.
And done by our national architect.
Yes, true. And moving on, Manila pa lang, marami ng sites na ganyan. Nandyan ng Luneta. I would like to know, what was your reaction also when you saw that there's going to be a background to Jose Rizal statue?
I thought that was most inappropriate. That should not have happened. The problem is we don't have the proper law in place. We need a sightline act to prevent this ever happening again. Currently, there is a bill in Congress pending under Edsel Lagman, which should be pushed to be passed by both Senate and Congress, called the Sightline Act, so that something like this will not happen again.
Grabe, no? Hindi ko alam sa mga nanonood na kabataan if you have been to Luneta lately, and I'd like to ask you, what angle do you take in order for you not to see that building at the back? Most likely, na-imagine ko ang angle na nandito ako sa right side para maiwasan ko yung structure sa right. Tama ba?
You have to be right in front and low. It's ridiculous. It's
exactly.
ridiculous. And that's what we don't want, photo bombers in our community.
Kasi ako na-imagine ko, ma'am, like, when I go to Singapore and people go take pictures of the Merlion, they take it in different angles.
Yes, of course.
Why? Because it's packed with people. And it happens also at Luneta. So, how can you say that it's a certain angle that you should be taking the national monument or the national
You have to push people out of the way and say, excuse me, it's my turn for this angle. Can you move?
Yeah, so it's heartbreaking.
It's very sad, yes. I'm sorry that the Knights of Rizal didn't win that case, and it shouldn't be allowed to happen again.
You know what, ma'am, I've even posted in my social media that there could be a remedyo to it if just the developers can either put the islands of the Philippines as their facade at the back of their beautiful condo. Well, it will match. Or if they could just put the Philippine flag, it's a giant Philippine flag made of the condo. Paint it. And I suppose it softens already the wrong that has been done. Or even put honor to the country by putting a beautiful background to the national monument.
That's something I hadn't thought of. Good idea.
Diba? Well, I hope the major developer who did that is going to consider this suggestion. Anyway, hindi po tayo lalayo. I grew up in this town, and I grew up looking at the signage at the back of this church and seeing that this is the oldest church outside the city walls of Intramuros.
That was not damaged during Battle of Manila.
That was not damaged. Oh,
Santa
right.
Ana is so famous for being the only locality of Manila that wasn't destroyed during the Battle of Manila. And it's here where thousands of Manileños who were displaced, homeless, injured, walked along Pedro Hill, then Heran. That street was covered with blood, according to my dad, who was living here. And they were accepted in the homes and the church of Santa Ana. Our own home was turned into a mini hospital, first aid clinic, because Manileños had nowhere to go. Everything was flat. Actually, the house that my parents were living in during the Battle of Manila was now turned into a fast food place. We tried to save it and couldn't. But during the time that it was so full of injured civilians, my parents had to move somewhere, and they squatted at 2315 Pedro Hill, which was empty. And that is later where we all grew up, all seven of us, and that is now the Heritage House.
That is called the Lichauco Heritage House
Yes.
here in Santa Ana.
My parents were squatters.
Oh,
There was no place to go.
okay.
Then
So-
they found a way to...
You know, that's just, we talked about Santa Ana Church, we talked about history and the Heritage House. What can you say about was it a burial here at the church?
Oh, that's very, very important. Yes. First of all, Santa Ana was the first parish outside of Intramuros, started by the Franciscans in 1578. They came along the Pasig, found a beautiful spot. They learned it was Sapa. And there they built their first bamboo and nipa church, which later on they used, they Christianized the Filipinos all around this area. It was the kingdom of Nacantagan. And it was huge. It covered Makati, Paco, Santa Ana, all the way up to Laguna de Bay. And in 1578, imagine, this was beautiful wilderness. You know, everybody did everything by the river.
Right.
So the Franciscans came on the Pasig and discovered this beautiful idyllic location.
Well, it wasn't called the Pasig River back then, but the river was already there.
Yes.
Just at the back.
And this part of Manila, now at that time called Namayan, was the seat of where the trading was, because later on in the 1960s, with the help of Madam Imelda Marcos, National Museum, and Dr. Robert Fox, they discovered right here in the patio of this church over 2,000 artifacts
2,000
that proved that we were doing trade with other countries in Asia more than 400 years before the Spaniards arrived.
Well, correct me if I'm mistaken, but are these some of the Chinaware that we find in the National Museum?
Absolutely.
Because I know there's a
Absolutely.
estante there, no?
These very important findings were documented in the book of Leandro Locsin, national architect, Oriental ceramics found in the Philippines. And many of them are in the Ayala Museum. Some are in the private collection of Leandro Locsin. Some are in the National Museum on display. And actually, many pieces are still in boxes in the National Museum, which is why I'm a big advocate of the idea that Santa Ana should have its own local museum.
Oh,
Where we can
there
display
you see.
these
There
and
you
bring
see.
in other tourism that
Yeah.
we have been wanting to
But
develop for
before
local
we
tourism.
go there of having our own museum, I do understand because many years back I was sort of part of it. this group that we're trying to form, or I think it
Yes.
was formed already. What's it called, ma'am? It's Santa Ana.
Santa Ana Heritage Tourism Association, which was started with the inspiration of Dr. Jaime Laya, with the partnership and support of Fundación Santiago, to develop local tourism so that we could improve the lives of the local community. In other words, recognize, preserve what you have here, and use it to develop tourism, as they do in many countries. So we got training by Department of Tourism. We did all our cruise to walk. That's one of the flyers of Department of Tourism.
Well, we're gonna show you guys this on air, but
We did brochures that explained what makes Santa Ana special. It's all here, how a community can benefit from cultural tourism. And of course, the most important is that we have the Republic Act 10066, or the National Cultural Heritage Law of 2009. This, along with our Constitution, is supposed to preserve the right of every Filipino, born or unborn, to our cultural heritage.
kasi kung hindi, parang ano pa yung titingnan mo at ikikwento ko sa mga anak ko na, uy, alam mo, anak, lumaki ako dito sa Santa Ana Church. Itong simbahan na to, 300 plus years old na siya. Diba? Dito kami nagsimba, maraming nahanap. Kung wala na yung struktura, libro na lang yung tinitingnan nila or online na lang, no?
Actually, for several years, the community of Santa Ana worked to fulfill the requirements of National Historic Commission to have this area declared, or part of this area declared, a heritage zone as described in this law. So the multi-stakeholders of Santa Ana actually were educated, trained, consulted, and we agreed that that's what we want. And after we fulfilled the requirements, NHCP declared the center of the heritage zone is this church.
Yes.
Because in this church, we have a declared national cultural treasure, which is the beautiful Camarin, which I'm sure you can show pictures to your viewers.
Yes,
also.
yes.
And that is what we're trying to protect. So around the core is something called the buffer, which again was studied very well by experts on how to protect the core. So it is described here in this law how it should look. It does not call for high-rise construction right beside the core. In other words, we have to protect this because any construction can damage the centuries-old
May I know
church.
how many meters is that buffer zone? Is it measured in terms of meters, in terms of around
the buffer zone,
the radius?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 200 meters.
Okay. All right.
200 meters. Very clear. And actually, all the cultural agencies, National Museum, Historical Commission, and NCCA, together with City of Manila, the stakeholders, and NAMRIA, worked hard to develop the mapping.
Okay.
And they made a histocultural overlay map, which was then used to declare the core and buffer. So this actually has become Manila City Ordinance 8244, which again, supposed to protect Santa Ana.
Okay, there's a buffer zone. Well, you're talking about it now. Is there any any fear of infrastructure or developments happening right now here in Santa Ana?
Oh my gosh, definitely. And that's what I'm so passionate about these days is without any appropriate documents or legitimate documents, a major developer started constructing several months ago, even without an environmental clearance, started constructing. Earth-moving equipment was moved in quietly in the middle of the night, and then all of a sudden, for almost 2 months, the ground was shaking.
And
The
this
ground was
was
shaking,
within
that
the
was-
buffer zone.
It is within the buffer zone.
Okay.
The parish priest, the parishioners, the neighbors are all up in arms because this is not only against the law, but it's reprehensible. You know, it shouldn't be allowed. And there have been other developers, other major developers who wanted to build a grocery chain here or a fast food. And they sat with the community and we discussed what would work for them and work for us. And we're happy with the outcome. And that's how it should be.
Yeah.
You have to consult the community, not go behind their back and try to ram it down their throat. That's wrong.
I think we're going to show some pictures of how Santa Ana did it in terms of developing the community and what do you call it? The baluarte going to the church being the center of that tourism site. So you did mention about a major chain. I'll just call it under the name, hide it under the name of Save More. Save More is there, and they followed. Can you describe it, ma'am? How it looks like?
Okay.
Of course, we're gonna show the picture,
Yes. Where Save More is, right next to our family's heritage house, that used to be the home of the Archbishop of Manila. It also later became the first convent of the Good Shepherd Sisters.
Okay.
Later on, it became a training ground for hospital.
All right.
But then suddenly, they started knocking down those thick cement walls. And my mother was like beside herself. So we investigated that they didn't have a demolition permit yet. All these things they didn't have. So we stopped it. And then we talked to them.
Yes.
They were willing to come down
Okay.
from the high tower and discuss with the community. So we said, please don't make a great big blue box, because at that time all their stores looked like a box painted in electric blue.
That's right.
So they designed something that we're happy with. They also were asked to keep a special tree called Dita tree, which you don't find in Manila.
Which is right in front of the supermarket, right?
Yes. It's within.
It's with
So they gave up some selling space to keep the tree.
Okay. So how does it work? Well, because other towns and cities might be watching us, and for sure they're watching us, and might want to learn something from what Santa Ana did. Is there a certain guideline as to, papasok ka dito sa Santa Ana, big businessman. Ito ang architectural guidelines. Is there any specifics?
Different cities have their architectural guidelines.
Okay.
Manila City Ordinance 8244 called for the formation of a histocultural planning committee of Santa Ana. And it named all the organizations or city officials and private parties who would be part of that, who would have specific functions to develop the guidelines. Unfortunately, in the time of this particular mayor, he was very matigas ng ulo, and although we asked him again and again to already convene the committee, he never did it.
I see.
And up to now, unfortunately, that committee has not been convened, not because we don't want it here in Santa Ana, but because the office of the mayor seems not to want it.
Okay, so since there is no architectural guideline, the only
what it says here on how to maintain a heritage zone.
Okay, so it has specifics here in the National Cultural Heritage Act of 2009.
Okay.
But I suppose it does not have the design criteria yet, no? Like specifics.
No, it actually says, maintenance of heritage zones. A heritage zone shall be maintained by the local government unit concerned in accordance with the following guidelines. Okay? And it says, appearance of streets, parks, monuments, buildings, natural bodies of water, canals, paths, and barangays within a locality shall be maintained as close to their appearance at the time the area was of most importance to Philippine history.
Okay. So it makes sense.
So
that
it doesn't
it should be close to what it used to be during those times.
And as we understand this, you're not supposed to go higher than the tower of this church and overshadow it. Otherwise, you will have the same thing that happened to the Jose Rizal statue, you know.
And that's the reason why you should visit Santa Ana, because you have to see it for yourself how different Save More is, how different our palengke is compared to the other palenques.
Even our fast food is Jollibee, and they respectfully redesigned their idea to fit in with what used to be there, the Lola Grande house.
Yes.
Which was used for rescuing Filipinos during the Battle of Manila.
Oh, okay,
They
okay.
followed the lines.
That's
We
the
showed them
Lola.
the picture.
That's the Lola Grande house. So it is therefore, if I may, it is possible to balance
It is possible to
development,
balance. Yes.
economic development, urban development, and history, culture, and the arts.
I've been in real estate for over 20 years abroad, not here.
Okay.
And I am not against development in any way at all. But everything has its right time and place.
Mm-hmm.
And you just don't go putting a 3-tower development of 36 stories each right in the buffer of a declared heritage zone.
Yeah.
They should have done their homework.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, they did do their homework because from early on, there was another major developer who purchased that site, met with City of Manila, met with parishioners and neighbors and the barangay, and were told their project of 2 towers with 26 stories each was way too tall for that site buffer zone. And that company respectfully declined going further.
Okay.
However, the next company said they're going to do it one way or another because they're going to use not the bottom-up approach, but the top-down approach. So that is what's happening here.
Okay.
And I can't really discuss it, but we are in the middle of court.
Yeah.
So sub judice.
Okay. Well, Realty Realities, we just pray for wisdom to all of the parties involved, that it will be resolved in a peaceful manner and one that will respect this church and the community.
We have so many other needs. If only we can talk to the developer and discuss, maybe he'll see the light
Okay.
and make something lower
Yeah.
and something that the community can use, such as
Yes.
senior center, museum,
Yes.
training
Yes.
ground,
Yes. Yes.
for arts and culture,
Mhm.
etc., etc.
Well,
It's not impossible. We can dream.
so it really is possible. Like what Ma'am Sylvia said, in other countries, even in my intro earlier, I did say that Singapore, for one, has a postal office which is now turned into a 6-star hotel. They also have a police station which functions still as a police station, and it's all colorful and bright.
So that's
there's-
what they refer to as adaptive reuse. You don't
Okay.
have to destroy something to make use of it. You can always use the facade or turn it into a bed and breakfast, etc. Which I'm hoping that my own family will see the light and do something for the community, as my mother always wished, with our heritage house.
I see.
Because it's one of the only ones, or the only one still intact of the many, many beautiful houses along the Pasig River from the 18th century
Yeah, why not turn it into the Sta Ana Museum
or something.
or something? Or you can, retain the facade.
I really appreciate this time that you've given me to talk about Santa Ana. Thank you.
Well, it's close to my heart, and 2, it's very timely, ma'am, because else we would all see just condominium buildings everywhere without seeing the beauty of heritage sites and with nothing to talk to our kids about, to say that, look at this.
Do you know that also in this law, there is a part that says DepEd and the NCCA are supposed to provide training for children starting in grade school all the way up to CHED about the importance of their own community so that they will develop pride of place.
Yes.
Because if you have nothing left but modernity, what is there to teach your children about your history, right?
True. It's the same about taking care of the natural resources of the place.
There was a very famous law case. It was about marine life and the seas. It was a class action lawsuit against, I forgot who, but this attorney, Oposa, won it. And it's a landmark case because it says our natural resources, and of course also our heritage, cultural heritage, and all the artifacts that go with it, belong to every Filipino.
Yeah.
And we have to save it for Filipinos born and unborn.
I just opened a new topic. That could be another episode.
Yes.
But for today, we would like to thank everybody for watching Realty Realities. This is specially made for you. Why? Because TNC is 3 times more. Happy anniversary, TNC. And you are special, ma'am. That's why you are here at the special episode. And
Thank you so much.
maraming
Thank you.
salamat
God
po.
bless you, King.
God bless you too.
Thank you.
So that's about the time we have for this special episode. And we know that you've learned something new because any episode in our TNC shows, it's responsible and inspiring content that you will learn about. Mabuhay po kayo and God bless us all.
The voice of Our Lady, blessed balsam from heaven, going deep in my soul and taking away all my wounds and sorrows. The voice of Our Lady, music sweet and tender, and she brings me closer, closer to Jesus, closer to His heart.
The hands of Our Lady, one of life's holy blessings, always ready to help me, hold me and protect me, morning, noon and evening. The voice of Our Lady, the hands of Our Lady, and her smile so lovely make me sing forever.
You're my Mother Mary, the eyes of Our Lady are so warm and so gentle, going deep inside my soul and melting the ice, taking out what's frozen. The love of Our Lady, poetry sweet and tender. More and more she whispers, whispers the name of our Lord.
The gaze of Our Lady, one of life's holy blessings,
And she deeply moves me with her splendid beauty and her loving presence.
the voice of Our Lady, the gaze of Our Lady, and her smile so lovely make me sing forever.
You're my Mother Mary, the eyes of Our Lady, are so warm and so gentle, going deep inside my soul and melting the ice, taking out what's frozen. The love of Our Lady, poetry sweet and and tender. More and more she whispers the name of our Lord. The gaze of Our Lady, one of life's holy blessings, and she deeply moves me with her splendid beauty and her loving presence. The voice of Our Lady, the gaze of Our Lady, and her smile so lovely make me sing forever. You're my Mother Mary.
Are you aiming to gain admission to UP, Ateneo, LaSalle, or UST? Partner with AHEAD, the leading and most awarded tutorial and review center in the country, and we'll get you to your dream school. Visit our website to know more. Are you aiming to gain admission to UP, Ateneo, LaSalle, or UST? Partner with AHEAD, the leading and most awarded tutorial and review center in the country, and we'll get you to your dream school. Visit our website to know more.